What is going on YouTube? Run Against Sports back here with another video. Today is our 49ers off-season review. San Francisco 49ers, a team that really was hit with injuries harder than almost probably anyone, and losing some star players such as Jimmy Garoppolo and Nick Bosa very early on in the season. Really derailed the season after coming off of a Super Bowl trip. And so we're here to talk about why they did not do as well this year as they did in the year before, and what what they can do to have a better off season, and if they will have better season, and what they can do to help that, and if they will have a better season. And so with that being said, if you have not already, please subscribe to this channel, leave a like down below, share this with your friends, follow our social media pages at @running_sports on Instagram and at @running_sports on TikTok. And also, we are releasing this on a day that would not normally be releasing videos, but the way the NFL season is set, the off season is set up, it is not 32 weeks in between the week one and the final in the Super Bowl basically of last season. So we have to start putting out more team off-season reviews than once a week. So that is what we're doing right now. And then once we get that done, then we'll be talking about the current season happening, the 2021 season. And our first 2021 NFL season video comes out this Tuesday, and we'll be talking about the Hall of Fame game between the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Dallas Cowboys. So, wasting no more time than we already have, let's get right into the video with the San Francisco 49ers going 6-10 and ranking 4th in the NFC West. Honestly, the best division in all of football last season. You had the Seahawks, who came out red hot, and then the Rams with their defense. Their defense was lights out last season. And then the Cardinals were a very good team as well. And then the 49ers were a solid team for a minute, and then, they had injuries. And coming off of a Super Bowl appearance in a game that they were very close to winning, and they held the lead for most of the game, and, it didn't come through in the end. But I think that being in that division did cause a lot of stress, and just a disappointment of not making it to the or not winning the Super Bowl was a lot for those fans. 5 Super Bowls have already been won by that team, and I'm sure they wanted to add a sixth Super Bowl, and they didn't. They came up short, and the way that they did was just heartbreaking more than usual, losing while having the lead with 10 minutes in the game. Just horrible the way they lost the game. It's just they blew the lead, and I don't think there's any worse way to do that than literally having the game in your hands and just not finishing it. It's very disappointing for that team, and a team that I was rooting for in that Super Bowl, honestly. And I think that obviously the main reason they made it to that Super Bowl was the defense. There's no lie there. Jimmy Garoppolo, I don't think he's a Super Bowl quarterback, but at one way or another, you have to look at it as he did do that. And, as crazy as it is, I mean, he's made the Super Bowl, and that's some things that a lot of great NFL quarterbacks have never done before. And so there's that, but I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is the answer for the San Francisco 49ers. And the 49ers, despite losing Jimmy Garoppolo early in the season, it was an ankle injury, and it kind of just kept coming back. But they did do all right, and 6-10 is not a horrible record. It's definitely not great for 49ers fans that are used to having very solid football teams. But 6-10 is not great, but it's not horrible at the same time. And I think that 3 of their 10 losses were to playoff teams, or were to non-playoff teams, I should say. And that was the Arizona Cardinals, which were also a divisional game, so they play them twice. And so there's 50% chance of them losing a game to them each year. And I think that, the Cardinals were a game away from making the playoffs themselves. If Kyler Murray hadn't gotten injured, I think that they would have made the playoffs, and if they had beaten the Rams. The Dolphins, another team that if they were in the NFC, they would have been in the playoffs. And it's just that very competitive AFC this past season. And so the Dolphins were a game away from making the playoffs. And so those are two teams that you are okay with losing to, because those are, in my opinion, playoff teams, and they will probably be in the playoffs this upcoming season. But they Eagles, another team that they lost to, is just not a good team to lose to. That's a game that they should have won, despite all the bad injuries and stuff. The 49ers should have been able to beat that team, and unfortunately they didn't. Moving on, but talking about quarterback play, a team, the team we just talked about the other day, the Washington football team was a very great defense and a playoff team, and they obviously had a great defense, and that was what they were known for, but they did not have a quarterback, and I think obviously half of being a great quarterback in the NFL is being able to make some great throws, great reads, whatever makes a great quarterback good as far as physically. But I think the other half of it, and probably the most important half of it, is being a good leader of your team. And you could have the greatest quarterback ever, a guy who can throw 100 yards every play, who can run faster than Usain Bolt, whatever. But if he doesn't lead the team well and is a jerk to his teammates, and those guys, they aren't going to want to block for him. And, I'm not saying that Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Mullins, and CJ Beathard are like that. I just don't think that they take charge of the team like a guy like Russell Wilson will. Russell Wilson's a great guy, a very nice dude, but he takes charge of the team. He doesn't just let his guys, do whatever. And I think that does go on in the San Francisco 49ers organization. Nick Mullins and CJ Beathard, two guys that have never had starting experiences in the NFL. And Jimmy Garoppolo is pretty new to it as well, being behind Tom Brady for the entirety of his NFL career, and coming out of a very small school of Eastern Illinois. And I just think that someone needs to take charge of that team, and that's what lacks there, and it really translates to the stats. And they are obviously great athletes for being in the NFL, but they could be a lot better, and especially if you compare it to a guy like Russell Wilson. So Nick Mullins was their leading quarterback. Basically, he played most games. He had 2,400 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, but 12 interceptions. A touchdown, that's throwing an interception for every touchdown you throw. And having played 10 games, 12 touchdowns is not that much, anyways. But, you know, games played 10 is just not good either. But 12 interceptions is also not great. So that's just bad. The passing percentage isn't even terrible, 64.7, which really shocked me to look at that. I think that he just makes some bad decisions at times, and obviously it shows with 12 interceptions. That's a ton for 12 games. That's more than one per game, obviously, and so that's just not good. And then you have Jimmy Garoppolo, who played only 6 games due to the injury, got injured, tried to come back in, then missed a couple other games. He was in and out throughout the season. Played a total of 6 games. 1,096 passing yards, 7 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, 67.1 percentage, and that's not bad either. 5 interceptions, though, to 7 touchdowns is not great as well. And these guys just gotta learn to not turn the ball over. And between two guys, you have 17 interceptions. That's terrible. I mean, that's not great at all. That's got to be in the bottom half of the NFL, if not the bottom of the NFL. And so, they just need to take care of the ball more, because they have a great defense to rely on, but if their defense is having an off day, then they have nothing else to do but lose the game. And I don't think that they can afford to do that, and they need to protect the ball. And I think that really the game plan for the 49ers should be just
run the clock, and when the defense is out there, they'll get you the ball back right away. But the 49ers are not a deep threat sort of team. They just don't have that many weapons right now, and they're not a flashy offense. You don't think of the 49ers offense, you think of the defense. So the game plan has got to be resolved, or it's got to be designed around the defense, but the offense has got to help the defense out, because you can't have the defense on the field the whole time and expect them not to be tired. And CJ Beathard, a guy who played 6 games, who I honestly think is better than Nick Mullins, but really didn't get his fair chance. And obviously, if he played 6 games, then he was splitting time with Nick Mullins and Jimmy Garoppolo. CJ Beathard, 787 yards, 6 touchdowns, 63.5 QBR. So 0 interceptions, by the way. So not bad stats for Nick or CJ Beathard, guy who I think really will do decently well if he gets the shot wherever it is, whether it is in San Francisco or not. But I think that he can do honestly well. But comparing these quarterbacks to Russell Wilson, the leading passer of the NFC West and the 49ers rival, their yardage 4,320 yards for the San Francisco quarterbacks. Russell Wilson 4,212 yards, and Russell Wilson had a pretty good year last year, so that's not bad at all. 40 touchdowns for Russell Wilson to 25 for the 49ers. That's not good at all. 17 interceptions to Russell Wilson's 13 interceptions. Either one of those numbers is not good at all. So comparing that to Russell Wilson's not very good. 68.8 passing percentage is pretty good for Russell Wilson. 65.1 for the 49ers. Not bad at all either. So, they have the talent. I just think that they don't have they don't have the weapons, and I just don't think that they're true leaders of that team. Moving on to the defense now, which obviously, we could talk about the defense and how great they are. Just like we could talk about the Washington football team defense. These 49ers and Washington football team, two very similar teams. But the 49ers defense ranked number 7th overall in overall defense, but despite losing Nick Bosa, the leader of that defense, in week 2, and also losing to Forrest Buckner in the middle of the season, they ranked number 4 in pass defense and number 7 in rush defense. And I really think that that pass defense ranking, a lot of it is to help. A lot of the credit goes to Richard Sherman, just because obviously he didn't play much, and he still could mentor those guys to be decent corners, and just his sheer veteran experience in the NFL really helped those guys, those rookies out big time. And I think that that really was huge for that team. And it's like a coach on the field, and they needed that. And with all the injuries and stuff, and obviously they still had a great offense or defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh, but unfortunately left for the Jets. Hired new defensive coordinator D'Amico Ryans, who I think will do well, but I don't think that they'll do as well as they did with Robert Saleh. And I still think that they'll be an elite defense for sure. But they ranked number 7th in rush defense. Very good stat without Nick Bosa or DeForest Buckner for the back half of the season. So moving on to free agency, where this is a team that I think they really needed weapons. They didn't have many, and so Mohamed Sanu, wide receiver from the Colts, an older guy, and they have some young receivers that have potential, like Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk. So I think Mohamed Sanu coming in is sort of like a Richard Sherman situation, where he can be a good mentor to those guys and teach them all that he can. Samson Ibukam, a defensive end from the Rams, that's a big pickup, considering the fact they lose DeForest Buckner, and so they pick up a guy from their rival team, the Rams, in their own division. So huge pickup for them. And Wayne Gallman, running back from the Giants, another big pickup. Never really had a solid running back lately in that franchise, and I think Wayne Gallman did very well in New York. And if he gets the right amount of touches, I think that he'll do all right. And we'll talk about who he'll be splitting reps with in this upcoming season in just a couple of seconds. But I think that that's a good pickup for them. They lose Richard Sherman, really their biggest loss and really their only notable loss, and unsigned. Obviously, what happened to Richard Sherman. That's a whole another story for a different day. But that's a big loss for them. He's a coach for that team, and he still could play and do all right. And so just losing him hurts that team a lot bigger than losing a just an average young corner who doesn't add much to the team. Yes, Richard Sherman may not be putting up crazy stats like he was back then, but he was coaching those young guys out and helping them become better and helping the team out in the end. So that was a really big loss for that team, losing Richard Sherman, and just an unfortunate situation there all around. And moving on to the draft, there was talk that, they moved up to the number third overall pick in the draft to pick a quarterback, and it was going to be Mac Jones or Trey Lance. Really thought it should have been Mac Jones, but they did select Trey Lance. And I've voiced my opinion about Trey Lance. I just don't think that he's that good. He had one good season at the FCS level or FCS level, yes, and doesn't mean anything at all. We saw Carson Wentz panned out in the NFL, and I think that people are overhyping him way too much about, oh, they're gonna win the NFC, they're gonna make the Super Bowl. No way, no freaking way. I'm sorry, it's just not gonna happen. First of all, he doesn't have that good of receivers, and we'll really find out how good he is of a quarterback without having that good of receivers in the NFL, and how he can do against literal professional athletes on the defensive side of the ball. I just don't think he'll do that well. But in the third round, they picked up Trey Sermon, running back from Ohio State, a guy that I really liked coming out of Ohio State, and I thought that was a steal for them in the third round. And him and Gallman together is going to be a very great duo. Moving on now to our 2021 projection for the San Francisco 49ers. It's just an interesting, division, obviously, just a competitive division, and in my opinion, the toughest division in all of football. And it might be like that next year. I really think it will be. It will definitely be one of the toughest divisions, if not the toughest divisions to be in. And, I think the 49ers, they're going to have a lot of success from the defense no matter what. And so I think that they will end up at 10-7. And I honestly think that 10-7 could get them last in the division, and that's just how competitive that division will be next year. And I can't wait to talk about these next two teams for the next couple of weeks. You got the 49ers. Next, we'll have the Cardinals, and then the Rams, and then the Seahawks. So, really excited to talk about the NFC West, one of the most interesting divisions of all football. And with that being said, that will wrap it up for today's video. If you guys have not already, please leave a like down below, subscribe, share this with your friends. Thank you.